Joining us now on the newsline is Representative John Culberson of Texas, and he is the chairman of the Commerce, Justice, and Science Subcommittee on Appropriations, and he's one of the guys who's been leading the charge even before the election on trying to strip these so-called sanctuary cities of funding. And he actually got Loretta Lynch to deny some Justice Department funding, I think, or try to deny Justice Department funding to sanctuary cities who are violating federal law. Representative Culberson, thanks for being with us here on the Howie Carr Show. And how quickly can we move now that the election's over to defund these sanctuary cities, to deny them federal grants?
Well, Howie, in fact, on January 20th at noon, President Trump can announce that the entire state of California is no longer eligible for federal law enforcement funding. They can lose all their money on January 20th because I got this done July 7th. I got everything teed up, and I got the Department of Justice to change their policy. It was posted very quietly on the Department of Justice website that all local and state law enforcement agencies have to comply 100% of the time with requests for information about criminal aliens in their custody, or you lose all your federal law enforcement money. And that happened on July 7th, and the Department of Justice notified everyone, you've got to change your policies. And then even better than that, Howie, what's really fun is I got the top 10 jurisdictions in the country, the top 10 sanctuary jurisdictions in the country, certified as sanctuary cities by the Inspector General for the Department of Justice. I got that done on May 31st of last year. So on January 20th at noon, President Trump can cut off all of Chicago's law enforcement money. And if they don't change their policy, Chicago will owe us all a refund. They'll have to write us a check, as will the entire state of California.
Well, you know what Rahm Emanuel is going to say, and probably Governor Jerry Brown. Well, you know this. If you deny us these law enforcement funds, you're just depriving the law-abiding citizens of Chicago or the Golden State of taxpayer dollars that they put into the pot. Aren't they going to say that?
Right. Sure they will, but it's their choice. If you want federal money, follow federal law. That's the rule. Easy. And that's if they want to keep their sanctuary policy, go right ahead. But you're no longer eligible for federal law enforcement grant money. That was the policy. I got that in place on July 7th. I just kept my head down and kept quiet about it because I didn't want Loretta Lynch and crawfish.
Yeah, I didn't know about this until today, actually, that you had achieved this victory. It's
done. It's done. I mean, would you like to hear the list of all the jurisdictions? There's 10 that are going to lose all their money.
Go ahead.
January 20th. Okay, here we go. The entire state of Connecticut, all your money's gone January 20th unless you get rid of your sanctuary policy. The entire state of California, gone. New Orleans, New York City, gone. Philadelphia, Cook County, Chicago, Miami-Dade, Milwaukee, and Clark County, Nevada, which is Las Vegas. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And here's how much. Now, get this. What's really fun, Howie, they lose all their money. They're no longer eligible for federal law enforcement grant money. President Trump can cut them off at noon on January 20th. But not only that, if they don't change their policy, they owe us a refund. The Department of Justice actually did this at my request. It's on the website for the Office of Justice Assistance.gov, OJA, I think it is, Bureau of Justice Assistance, BJA.gov, and you'll see on there when you look up the Burn Jag Grant Program, if you don't change your sanctuary policy, you owe us a refund.
A refund?
For the last 25 years of
25 years?
Yeah, at least 25 years. So, Howie, get your calculator out. California got you're going to love this. California got $132.5 million last year. Multiply that times 25.
Billions.
And that's the minimum. That's the minimum that California is going to have to write a check to U.S. taxpayers for unless they repeal their sanctuary policy.
Chicago is already approaching bankruptcy. I mean, this will put them over the line.
Yeah. Here's Chicago. Okay, Chicago got $28.5 million last year, and that's just in one program. Now, 28.5 times 25. Rahm Emanuel, get your checkbook out, and you better write us a check for $28.5 million times 25. to the U.S. Treasury. If you want to be a sanctuary city, go right ahead.
Now, Mr. Chairman, I understand why some of these mayors are saying, well, we have welcoming policies. That's what Marty Walsh, the mayor of Boston, said. We have welcoming policies, but we're really not a sanctuary city. And we had Ethan Strimling, the mayor of Portland, Maine, on last night. He said basically the same thing. We're just welcoming them. We're not a sanctuary city. Now I understand what they're doing. They must have seen this new policy here. Does that matter?
They do.
Does that matter if they
Yes.
say they're not a sanctuary city?
No, it doesn't help them, because now these 10 that I just read to you, I had officially certified, the Inspector General certified that list of 10 that I just read to you. So those 10, their money is gone. They're already going to have to refund. They're going to have to give up all their money, and if they don't change the policy, write us a refund check. So those 10, they're already done. So the others, Jessica Vaughn at the Center for Immigration Studies has done a magnificent job on this, and that's the list I used, Howie, is I sent that list to the Inspector General and said, start working through it. So anybody on that list, on Jessica Vaughn's Center for Immigration Study list of sanctuary cities, you're next. You're going to lose all your federal money. I'm going to see to it personally on my Commerce, Justice, Science Committee. And frankly, they'll lose all their other federal law enforcement.
That's what I was going to ask you about that.
Too.
Can we take away like the highway money too for like states? I'm serious here, Representative Culberson. I want to get rid of these sanctuary cities. I don't care if they strip out all the federal aid.
I did it for all the law enforcement grants because that's under my jurisdiction. I'm like the chief financial officer for the Department of Justice. That's how I got this done. I call it standing on their air hose, Howie. That's the genius of the founders. If they want money, they got to come through me, and I stand on their air hose until they do what they need to do. Follow federal law, or don't ask for federal money. And it's done for the Department of Justice and these law enforcement grant programs and other, frankly, federal programs. Absolutely, Howie. We need to go after the federal money. If you want federal money, follow federal law. It's that simple.
Right. Exactly. I mean, look what they did to North Carolina. They threatened to cut them off because they passed a law, the legislature, saying there shouldn't be transgender bathrooms. And so, there was no hue and cry about that, was there, when Obama tried to cut off their federal funding?
Well, and Howie, this one's even simpler because the federal law says, and this is real important, is that you cannot interfere, quote, in any way, close quote, with federal immigration authorities attempt to get information about criminal aliens in your custody. In any way means you have to comply 100% of the time. That means that you got to, 99 times out of 100, you're in violation of federal law. So that's how I got this done, is I found the law. This law was passed back in 1996 by the Republican Congress, and it was unenforced until I was finally able to enforce it on July 7th of this year. And now Donald Trump, I gift-wrapped it for him. He can do it at noon on January 20th. He can cut off all the money to these 10 jurisdictions on this list, and Rahm Emanuel better get his checkbook out.
Well, now, I'm sure there are other congressmen who chair committees, like the guy who chairs the Transportation Funding Subcommittee. Can he do the same thing with the transportation funds?
I'm not positive about transportation funds. I think it could be done on housing money, for example, for other federal programs like for housing or, maybe even depends on the program. You got to go look at it. And if it's a grant program, absolutely. If it's a federal discretionary grant, I think absolutely that you could, other subcommittee chairmen could do this because we have the authority to literally stand on their air hose and stop these agencies' money. See, if they want to move money around within the agency, they got to get my approval. And unless they're following the law, if they don't do what the law tells them, I stand on the air hose. This is real quick.
This is the way to get their attention, Representative Culberson. The money talks, and you know what walks.
It is.
Yeah.
The founders were genius. They knew the power of the purse works.
How did Loretta Lynch let you get away with this? I understand why you didn't publicize this, given the situation in July. But how did you get it done in the first place?
I did it quietly, and I knew that I did it very quietly and thoughtfully, and I didn't embarrass her publicly. I went to the right people. You know how I did this? I found and remember, there's dedicated, professional, lifelong law enforcement officers, the Department of Justice, who take that oath very seriously. They've been there for 10, 20, 30 years. I found those guys. Those are the ones I went to. And I said, you know what? I know you're a pro. I know you don't like this stuff. You know what the law is. The law says 100% compliance with federal immigration authorities. And let's do this together. I won't embarrass you. We'll do it quietly. And let's get the policy change, because let me tell you, if you don't, I'm standing on your air hose, and you guys are about to have a really bad year. And I did that quietly. This is how I got ATF to drop the ban on .223 ammunition. You remember the ban on .223 ammunition vanished overnight last year, suddenly? That was me.
Thank you.
I stood on the air hose for ATF, and it works. So you find the professional. You find the person that's been there for 10, 20 years. You do it thoughtfully, politely, quietly. Don't embarrass them, and then you get it done. You get her done. That's what this election was all about.
Mr. Chairman, this is a good start, but there's like 300 of these sanctuary cities or counties or states.
Right.
I mean, we got to get them all. Have you talked to the Trump campaign or the Trump administration about this?
Yes. Another reason I'm with you tonight, Howie, is that it's time to broadcast this to make sure. I've already talked to the Trump transition team. They're aware of it. If Ted Cruz turns out to be the Attorney General, I guarantee he knows about this, and he's going to move instantly on the rest of Jessica's list on that
this
Center
is
for
great.
Immigration Study website. And let me tell you, they will be able to move like lightning and cut off all their law enforcement grant money. And if Rahm Emanuel and the Governor Brown, Governor Moonbeam in California scream about it, you know what? This is easy, guys. It's your decision. If you want federal money, follow federal law. Are there any questions?
Yeah, we had the mayor of Portland, Maine. There's another one you should put on your hit list. Even though I was born there, he was on. We had him on the show last night, and he was going, well, we don't want cops asking for people's papers on the street. And I said, where the hell is anybody asking for anybody's papers? And he said, I'm so glad that's not happening. These people are so exasperating, Representative Culberson. You got to put them in their place.
This does it. You cut off all their money unless they obey federal immigration law, and they will respond. They'll move like lightning. I discovered, Howie, if you control 100% of a bureaucrat's money, you got 100% of their attention every time. They move like lightning.
This is great. You got to really get the word out. I'm glad that the Trump transition team knows about this, and I hope the people who have control over other purse strings, other chairmen in Congress will move as you have.
They're picking it up. I showed my colleagues. I've showed them how to handle this. There's 12 subcommittees on appropriations. This is why it's so important that we get these appropriations bills passed. You don't want to do a CR because that's like a very short thing that doesn't have any detail in it. We need that detail because the detail lets me stand on their air hose. All that detail allows me to cut off funding for programs within the agency if they don't follow the law. And that gives the Congress the most powerful check and balance the founders could have possibly given us, and that's the power of the purse. And the other subcommittee chairmen are figuring this out. And with President Trump in the White House and a new attorney general who will follow the law,
exactly,
we're going to rock and roll. And there's no quicker way to make the streets safer than to get these thugs and these criminals out of the country, get them deported and thrown out of the country. And let me tell you, we'll get them out of the country so fast it'll make your head spin.
Representative Culberson, you've made my evening, and all my listeners, they love it when you keep saying air hose. They're texting me in. Have them say air hose again. Listen, we'll talk to you. We'll talk to you again.
You want to solve a problem? Stand under air hose.
We'll talk to you again, Representative Culberson. Thanks very much for being with us. That's Representative John.
Howie, thank you.
Thank you. He's from Texas. He's the chairman of the Commerce, Justice, and Science Subcommittee on Appropriations.